you guys have a situation where you're afraid that I don't want to submit this data, you'll need to talk to an attorney. Okay, so what's involved with the stack test? We've got to let the agency know what we're doing. 35 days, 60 days for federal sources, way ahead of time. And anybody here used to be or currently formerly an agency guy? Okay, so we're in friendly territory. All right, so the protocol basically states that you gotta submit it before the deadline. You have to tell the agency, hey, we're only capable of doing 60% capacity rate, okay? And that happens a lot of times with new facilities. You're like, look, man, we gotta construct this thing, we gotta get this thing going, we gotta start making stuff, okay? We run into this thing all the time that they are not able to reach 95% capacity, but that's okay, okay? Here's the caveat, when you do hit 95%, you gotta come back and do it again. Make sense? Okay. We've got to tell the agency what EPA methods we're gonna be using, and the length of the test. And this is critical. This is where you and I are talking to each other, and you're talking to your production team. And you know, you'll have to tell me if it's a continual feed versus a batch feed. Okay? That's really important because if you have a limit in pounds per ton, and you're telling me that it takes you 5 hours to complete a batch, then I've got to run that test for 5 hours. Okay? Then I've got to do 3 repetitions of those. So it could take us 2.5 days, it could take us 3 days to do it. Okay? Test method or federal requirements, minimum sample volumes, that's another thing that we have to deal with. You're gonna be like, well, wait a minute, Mike, we ran that test, you know, for another company 5 years ago at 60 minutes. Why are you telling me now that we gotta go 2 hours?